Welcome back to Paul's Tech News. Despite what you may have heard, personal computers do still exist, people are still buying PC hardware, and the entire supply chain has not broken down completely. But fewer PCs and parts are being sold, people have to pay more for the hardware that is being purchased, and supply chain updates seem to waffle between fabricators saying, look, we're selling even more hardware to AI data centers, and we're working hard to build out more capacity, but you're all SOL until 2028, at least. But we can make our own choice to ignore all those doomy and gloomy outlooks and instead focus on these small nuggets of hope that remain, such as some RAM prices actually going down in the past month, while also cozying up to our strongest ally in the battle against the PC hardware shortage: delay. Delay brings the dawn, after all, and even delayed launches can be viewed optimistically if you stand back and squint just right at them. So next time someone asks you if you've given up on PC gaming due to RAM and storage prices, tell them no. I haven't given up, I'm just waiting until things get better. We're biding our time just like we've trained to do through multiple Grand Theft Auto PC version launches, and in the meantime, there's plenty of used and refurbished PC hardware to tinker with and extend the lifespan of, as well as a whole backlog of older Steam games to play that could probably run on a potato. Also, in the meantime, there's tech news.
Excellent!
Today's video is brought to you by the Paul's Hardware store on paulshardware.net, the only official source for Paul's Hardware merchandise. Tantalizing t-shirts, brilliant beer sets, high-quality hoodies, and more, all featuring the classic thumbscrew for tasteful and refined viewers, or the 8-bit thumbscrew for tasteful and refined viewers who hate curves. New designs are added sporadically and at random, so head over to paulshardware.net and get some of that sweet, sweet merch right now. Or not right now, after you watch the video. Either way. We begin with the ongoing PC hardware shortage, mostly to get it out of the way, but there are now multiple reports of the ever-broadening impact of DRAM and storage scarcity, and as predicted, the crisis is inevitably creeping outward and affecting other consumer products besides PCs. The most ubiquitous is probably smartphones. Per The Verge, analysts from IDC, Omdia, and Counterpoint agree that in 2026, smartphone prices will be going up while consumer choice is reduced, with fewer phones being produced and manufacturers shifting towards prioritizing profitability, which means OEMs are very likely to prioritize premium and high-tier phones. So perhaps $1,000 will be the new budget entry tier price for smartphones as the year progresses. Hey, kind of like what seems to be happening with GPUs. And phones that do launch will also be less likely to feature upgrades in memory and storage capacity. Another common household device in the crosshairs is the humble router, as well as internet gateways and set-top boxes that are often provided by your internet service provider. A router's memory used to be 3% of its BOM cost, but now it's more like 20%, and telecom providers are likely to pass on the increasing cost of these devices to consumers by increasing monthly rental fees, removing or reducing first-time installation discounts, or simply tacking on an upfront charge. Back on the components side of things, WD revealed in an earnings call last week that we're pretty much sold out for calendar 2026, meaning all the hard drives they plan to produce this year are already sold, and as a result, only 5% of their revenue is now coming from us regular folk, and the rest comes from enterprise and data center customers. Even the bright spot for handheld gaming that was the Steam Deck, which held at its base pricing for quite some time, has now been snuffed out, with the $399 256GB model going end of life at the end of 2025, and the now cheapest $550 OLED version disappearing from the store as well. Looks like the $650 1TB version is sold out too. And we now have confirmation from Valve via a note on the store page that yes, it's due to memory and storage shortages. And it really feels like these broader impacts of the shortage are just getting started. In an interview this week, the CEO of storage manufacturer Phison claimed that by the end of 2026, many system vendors will go bankrupt or exit product lines due to lack of memory. Mobile phone production will be reduced to 200 to 250 million units, and PC and TV production will be significantly reduced. He believes this to be true because NVIDIA plans to produce tens of millions of Vera Rubin AI systems, and each requires 20 terabytes of SSD storage. So memory fabricators are now demanding 3 years worth of prepayment to reserve supply, which smaller manufacturers simply cannot afford, resulting in businesses going under who can't weather the shortage. So you can probably see why I wanted to get through all of this first, but is there any light at the end of this long, dark tunnel? Well, anecdotally, Ideally, I could see the AI bubble bursting sometime soon, resulting in these 2 to 3 year contracts falling through and supply recovering. But if you want some hard numbers, there's this. Computerbase.de, who monitors hardware pricing in Germany, actually saw average DDR5 RAM kit prices go down from January to February, and compared to pre-crisis pricing, they were 314% up, which seems bad, but that's versus 344% up in January. Still a lot, but it's a move in the right direction, and even PC part picker RAM charts are showing a downward tail at the end now too. It's a small one, but it's there. Now, it could just be that the panic buying from the last few months has finally fallen off, but given the state of the market, any good news is very welcome in February 2026. Now, in a theoretical world where RAM and other vital PC hardware has not become completely ridiculously overpriced, this theoretical news about the theoretical core counts of upcoming Zen 6-based CPUs from AMD would be quite interesting, in theory. Desktop Zen 6 CPUs are codenamed Olympic Ridge, probably in reference to peak performance accessible only to a handful of people in the world, and as expected, the updated Zen 6 CCD is adding more cores, or at least so says leaker HXL. This string of numbers is not a simple math problem, but a list of core counts, which includes broader diversity as the per CCD core count, per rumor, is increasing from 8 to 12. That means single CCD configs of 6, 8, 10, or 12 cores, and dual CCD processors that use an 8 plus 8 16-core setup, 10 plus 10 20-core setup, or a 12 plus 12 24-core design for, presumably, the flagship Ryzen 10 950X, or whatever AMD decides to call it. This points towards an interesting matchup in late 2026, with Intel's next-gen Nova Lake CPUs also in queue to launch, and those go up to 52 cores, again, per rumors. But again, this is all in theory, because if the DDR5 memory and SSDs needed to build systems with these CPUs still cost more than the processors themselves, who will even want to buy them? But perhaps AMD has thought of that too, as another rumor from BenchLife on Friday is now claiming that the expected launch window for Zen 6, late 2026, is on shaky ground. Olympic Ridge is not expected to arrive before 2027 at the earliest, says BenchLife, and while that's not an official statement from AMD, it could mean they are considering a bit of a delay, which I speculate might be a prudent decision to wait to launch until other parts of a computer needed to go with these Zen 6 CPUs are back within the range of affordability. A delay is better than a cancellation, for sure. Of course, Nova Lake is also on the way, so I'm sure they're still weighing the pros and cons. Perhaps a limited launch in Q4 with broader availability in 2027? Who knows? Speaking of things Intel is developing, Arc GPUs, at one time thought to be the chosen one who would deliver us from the NVIDIA-AMD duopoly, are still languishing in relative obscurity due to inconsistent pricing, and the B770 still being a no-show despite many rumors of its existence late last year. I'd love to say things have improved, but as with many things Intel, we took 2 steps forward with the B580 launch, and now a big step back to wait-and-see mode in 2026, with an occasional dash of hope so we don't give up completely. And unfortunately, that hope must be mined from a post that is otherwise about Intel's AI efforts, which went up late last week. But the good news is that Intel is still developing Arc, and the GPU architecture that will come next after Xe3P is called Xe Next. See, right there, it's on the roadmap. Xe2 was 2nd gen Battle Mage. Xe3P was sort of Celestial, but not really, and that was when Intel seemed to start slowly edging away from the gaming-focused code names like Alchemist, Battle Mage, and Celestial. And now Xe Next appears to shit-can both of those naming schemes because Intel forgot how to brand things like 15 years ago, or so it seems. Will we ever see another discrete gaming graphics card from Intel, or even like Nova Lake integrated graphics called Celestial or Battle Mage? I don't know. This Intel post is all about products they're making for AI workloads and data centers, and it is only my obstinate desire to cling to something positive that makes me conclude, well, at least Arc isn't dead yet. They said I couldn't do the rest of the show in a rapid-fire tech briefs segment, but I beg to differ. And they said I couldn't combine these 3 topics together in one briefing either: the fastest GPUs in the world, the PC hardware shortage, and the Olympics, which are wrapping up this week. But on the contrary, The RTX 5090 launched over a year ago now, and it seems NVIDIA is finally loosening the reins on what AIB partners can do with it, as demonstrated by the recent launch of MSI's RTX 5090 Lightning, which has dual 12V 2x6 connectors and not just an 800 watt and 1000 watt mode, but also a 2500 watt extreme OC vbios that unsurprisingly has now been leaked on the internet and has destroyed at least one 5090 die, shattering it due to thermal shock. There's also now a 2000 watt vbios from the Asus Astral RTX 5090 in the wild as well, which is great for the extreme overclocking community, but for everyone else who can't afford even a basic DDR5 memory kit anymore, let alone GPUs that cost $3 to $5 grand or more, what's the point, really? Perhaps the future of our hobby will be like the Olympics, sadly, with personal PC hardware tinkering becoming a spectator sport, accessible only by a shrinking group of those with the means to participate. Would you watch the hardware bot overclocking Olympics even if PC hardware became completely unaffordable? I don't know. People do still watch the regular Olympics. And people are also watching their privacy settings a lot more closely these days, given how many big companies want your big data. And last week's news about Discord getting all big brothery with supposed age verification requirements that want users to do a face scan or upload pics of their government ID was rightfully called out for what it is. And what a surprise, it only took a few days for the true motivation to come to light: data harvesting, as revealed by Discord's disclosure that users in the UK needed to consent to age verification processed by Persona, a company whose lead investor is Founders Fund, a VC investor co-founded and directed by Peter Thiel. That's pretty gross. If you're located in the UK, you may be part of an experiment where your information will be processed by an age assurance vendor Persona, says Discord, and that means they'll perform 269 individual verification checks on your data, including those for terrorism and espionage, which seems pretty invasive for a voice over IP platform that's supposed to just let you talk to your friends about the video game that you're playing. Lastly, we have a pretty big news bomb that dropped from Microsoft on Friday. The future of their gaming division will no longer be dictated by Phil Spencer, since he's retiring. Now, Asha Sharma is the new CEO of Microsoft Gaming, which includes Xbox and their subsidiaries like Activision Blizzard. Also, Xbox Game Studios head Matt Booty has been promoted to Chief Content Officer. Asha did a blog post stating that her three focuses as CEO are great games, the return of Xbox, and the future of play, whatever that means. But quite a few have pointed out that Asha's previous role was president of Microsoft's Core AI for 2 years. And does that mean that she'll want to AI everything and fill all Microsoft's intellectual properties with soulless AI slop? A valid fear, but at least for the moment, it's one she addressed. We already have iconic teams, characters, and worlds that people love, but we will not treat those worlds as static IP to milk and monetize. We will not chase short-term efficiency or flood our ecosystem with soulless AI slop. She actually said AI slop. Hope Satya Nadella didn't hear that. Anyway, it's too early to tell how things will go, but Microsoft has a massive influence on the game industry, so I'll again take the optimistic road and say I hope Asha Sharma listens to actual gamers, and I hope you have enjoyed this video. There you have it, guys, tech news for the week, and if you liked it, click that like button or leave me a comment down below. While you're down there, all of the articles I talked about today are linked in the video's description if you're interested, and you can check out my store at paulshardware.net for high-quality merchandise, t-shirts, hoodies, beer sets, and more. Subscribing to my channel is always a good call too. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you next week.